time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
All right, welcome to Two Guys and a Goalie. Dustin Nielson and Joaquin Gage with you. Cass is on a plane today. He is not going to be able to join us, but you are here riding with Two Guys and a Goalie, and we've got lots to get to as we work our way closer to an Edmonton Oilers campaign. Gager, you were here on the Hangout today, sticking around, joining us. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm a little vexed.
Why?
Well, listening yesterday, and now with Acme Meats.
Yeah.
So
do you want some show meat?
No, I go to Acme. Like, I know
Okay,
Corey.
okay.
But the burgers that a kid growing up on a farm and slaughtering his own cattle and not having a meat, at least a medium burger, Dusty.
So you are American burger guy?
That's
like,
burger
when
guy.
you barbecue at home with fresh meat, you make it pink?
Remember, I don't know which episode it was. We're in the 200s or something, but I said I grind my own meat now.
Yeah.
So I go to Acme Meats. I get half a pound of strip loin, half a pound of back rib, half pound brisket, grind it all up together.
Do you ever get sick?
Never.
Really?
Yeah. It's just like it's a steak. Do you eat your steaks well done too?
For the longest time I did.
Oh.
Like this is going to sound really weird. Well, no. I mean, if you've known me for the last 15 years, this is going to sound right on point. But so we could, if our freezer got low, my dad would just take the gun out to the backyard and shoot a cow. I mean, that's kind of how we were raised. But we never had steak growing up.
Oh, really?
It was always just roasts or ground beef.
Yeah.
That was it. So my dad would not barbecue steaks. Like, this is just we would barbecue burgers and dogs. Mm-hmm. And that was it. Very simple from a barbecue game. So when I first started, I didn't eat much steak until I could afford it when I was in my late 20s. Yeah. And then when I first did, I would, for probably my first year and a half of steak consumption, I was always like, yeah, I'll get it well done.
Hockey
well done.
puck. Nice.
Yeah. And then I started to come around, and now I'm a medium rare guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a medium. It depends where I'm at. Like, I don't want it. Like, I'm not a medium. I'm not medium rare, but I like it. I like a layer of pink in there.
You're not medium rare?
No.
So you're like medium.
Depends.
So when I go to the keg, I always get the filet, bacon wrapped preferably, and I get actually a side chicken breast. The blackened chicken breast there is unreal. So I'm doing the chicken and the meat, or the chicken and the beef. But I get it medium rare, and there's not blue ever.
Yeah, no.
Just
blue.
it's really pink.
No blue. I don't want it blue.
Some people do like it blue.
Yeah, that's weird.
What do they say? Slap it on the ass for me. Right? I think isn't that what they usually say?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But there's a second portion of me being vexed too, Dusty.
There's another one.
Yeah. Something really strange happened to me, and this is going back, and I talked about this on the Hangout, I think, a couple episodes ago. The dog park etiquette.
Yes.
So Terwilliger Town has a pop-up dog park.
Pop-up?
Yeah, it's a temporary dog park that I've taken my guy to. And I'm there a lot. So my daughter takes the dog to the pop-up dog park. And I've frequented this dog park a lot. And a guy that recognizes my dog, Boone, goes up to my daughter and says, "Hey, is that Boone?" And my daughter's like, "Yeah." And then he says, "Yeah, I see your husband here all the time." This is my 14-year-old daughter.
Really?
So, and then she's telling me this story.
Wait, he said your husband?
Yes.
Oh, in my mind you said father.
Oh, yeah. She said, "Oh, your husband's here." And my daughter's kind of taken aback. And then whatever. And then another person comes up and says, "Hey, is that Boone?" And my daughter goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "Oh, I've met your husband."
Come on.
So
Two people
at the dog park think well, first of all, she comes and tells me the story, and I was like, Did you correct them?" She goes, "No, I was and I go, "Honey, I can't go back to this dog park. They're gonna think I'm a creepy old pedophile. Like, my wife's 14 years old. It might have ruined I gotta wait till next year to go back to this place because they think I
Or do they think you're very young?
That's too young.
Okay.
It's uncomfortable for me to go back to this dog park now. So I got to go back there with my daughter next time and explain. This is my
Explain
dog.
to everybody. Yeah.
This
You
is
need to
not-
get one of those shirts with an arrow that says, "This is my daughter."
Yeah, I need one of those. So that was my daughter thinks
Two
it's
people.
So my daughter thinks it's absolutely hilarious.
So when you go to the dog park, are you very chatty with everybody? Is that how they know Boone, or how do they know Boone?
Boone's very social.
Oh, okay.
He goes up to people, dogs, everything. So, and he's a Bernese mountain dog. He's the only one there, so he's memorable. So, but yeah.
Wow. Anything else? Any other issues?
No, just the pedophilia at the dog park.
Yeah. Okay. All right. 780-218-9999. See you in the chat there. All of the Oilers, all of the NHL questions you have right now, it's just Gage and I today. So feel free to fire them over, and we'll be chatting for the next 49 minutes uninterrupted here. What do you think of, hey, how was the morning show today with no promos anymore, and it kind of just kept going?
I was used to the promos, but I didn't notice it too much.
Okay.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I like it.
But you would listen through the promos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of people we were noticing would like just sort of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you would see the numbers kind of dip a little bit. So today we did no promos, and the numbers just kind of kept going up like this.
Oh, well, let's get rid
So,
of the promos.
Yeah, that's kind of what we did.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, we do have a nice little treat for Edmonton sports talkers and fans of Two Guys and a Goalie. And Two Guys and a Goalie was, I mean, the original show that we had, still going strong here. But YouTube Trev is a little bit of a video wizard.
Oh.
And he's put together an intro for Two Guys and a Goalie that's going to blow your mind. It looks like something you'd see on TSN or Sportsnet. It really does.
The first thing that went through my mind was TNT, Dusty, the kind of like the flash of it all. So it looks really, really good. YouTube Trev, unbelievable.
Yeah, he's done some fine work.
He's got some chops.
He's just sort of scratching the surface here as well, so that's pretty exciting. This guy got accredited at the Oilers this season, which I don't understand why you would need accreditation. You're an alumni, for goodness sakes. But you text us last night, and you've got your Edmonton Sports Talk accreditation. I haven't had a chance to get down there yet. I guess I'll probably be there. Well, even when they're home opener, I think I'm doing CFL games somewhere. But I'll get there at some point and pick mine up. But that was cool to see Edmonton Sports Talk on their accreditation.
That was really neat. It's a terrible picture of me, but just to see the media credentials and Edmonton Sports Talk, I thought that I think I'm the first one that's got his, right?
Yeah, well, I think Tommy probably has his right up. The pretty boys, they get them.
Yeah, they get him pretty quick.
Yeah.
But, no, it's. I thought I'd send that out to the group, and it's that's exciting.
So
Never had a media pass before. That's
cool.
the
first one ever.
Yeah,
hey?
it's like having my first hockey
That's
card.
kind of cool. You know what? You wear it around. By the way, of your hockey cards, Wayne from Wayne's texted me the other day, and he goes, "Next time you're in, I got 3 Gager cards for you."
What?
Yeah. We'll do a signing.
That must be the last 3.
For just the 3. It's you would probably know it. I think I already have it in the collection. I think it's a score. Let me see here. I think it's a scorecard, and it's like blue around the edges. And I believe you are attempting a kick save.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Oh, no, it's not a kick save one, but it is blue around the side. Looks like you just kind of set up for a butterfly there.
Oh, yeah. You can actually see the puck about to hit my pad.
Can you really?
Yeah. Don't act so surprised.
That puck looks like it might be going 5-hole.
No, it's hitting the right pad, right knee. It's got to be.
Yeah, okay, maybe. Maybe it's hitting the right knee.
Yeah.
Look at that Vaughn gear, though.
It's solid.
The Vaughn gear?
Yeah, I love it. Well, yeah, Billy. Well, everyone that from that era remembers Billy Ranford. Oh, I remember the Vaughn poster. Did you have that Vaughn goalie poster? You can see.
Well, I had a Vaughn blocker and catcher for my first 3 years, and then I went to was it Patrick Waugh that had Coho? Was it Coho? What was what Patrick Waugh? Remember he went away, and I think Patrick Waugh's red and blue.
I think it was Coho the first time.
It was weird because nobody else was really rolling Coho.
And it was just
at the time.
Big,
there it is.
Block letters on that. Everyone wanted that after.
Yeah, so I had the Vaughns, and then I flipped over and went Coho just because of Patrick Waugh.
That's what I think I'm talking with Tommy. That's when I played in Sweden. I had to switch to that stuff. And Tommy
had
Salo,
to switch to the Coho?
Yeah, when I was hit Salo, we used Coho, and it was. I loved the gloves. I just loved the pads. I like too, but they were just like cement block, so stiff, and they took a while to break in. But once you did get them in that sweet spot, they were phenomenal.
Given his fondness for analytics, is Cass on a plane to Toronto to fire the entire Blue Jays front office?
I wanted to text him yesterday so bad and ask him about. I didn't know if he was watching or watching it later. Yeah, he must have lost his marbles.
He would have been losing his mind. I don't know if his level of baseball. Like, I don't know if he's hardcore ball.
It's just the analytics.
But he's very anti-analytics.
Yeah.
And when they pulled Barrios with the way he was dealing, Cass would have just been losing. But you know what? Chalk went up for Cass. And the analytics side, right?
Yeah.
See, I told you. I told you so. All right, let's get to some of your text messages. 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, or in the nasty chat, VR Montenegro says, sounds like a title for this episode, Pedo at the Dog Park. I don't know about that one.
That's a tough one.
But we'll see. Thank you for the suggestions. So I do like people coming up with the name for the episode, because for the longest time, we've always just come up with the name for the episode. But if you're now listening live or watching live and there's something funny that gets said and you want to hit that as the name for the episode outside of Pedo at the Park, there probably could be something good that would pop up here as well. Boy, this is what is it here? It is 12:16 on the Thursday before the season starts, and we've got a Bouchard trade proposal trickling it. I don't know. Like, this is officially the first Bouchard trade proposal that we've had at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Would you move number 2 at the deadline, perceivable value, to receive a legit top 4 D-man back and maybe a 4th line center?
No. He's going to have 70 points by then. It's crazy.
That is, I don't know why you would, like, this is going to sound a little weird, because with McDavid and Draisaitl and Nuge, the power play should be fine. But if you were to trade Bouchard, who's running the power play on the point? Don't tell me Darnell Nurse. Right? There's who else would it be? Ekholm?
Okay, what's the scenario for that to actually happen? So someone would have to get injured. It would probably have to be, Bouchard would probably have to be injured for a significant amount of time, and you'd have to put someone into his spot to start wheeling and dealing on the power play. And if it took off, that's the only way you would kind of even entertain the thought of getting rid of him. He looked really good last night, Dusty. I was at the game, and the way he was walking the blue line, I didn't have a problem with his game, moving the puck. He looked comfortable out there. It looked like a guy that's played in the league for a few years now, and hopefully that kind of.
I'm a little surprised by that. Yeah, Maddie, somebody just said I'm way louder than Gager, and that's probably because in general I'm way louder than Gager. But
that's better.
Yeah, does that sound better? That feels better? Sounds better? That's pretending he's on his phone.
Yeah.
No, he's not on his phone. But anyway, so that's a strange text to kind of lead into 2 guys and a goalie here today, because I've not seen. Well, with that being said, I do see some people kind of critical of Bouchard sometimes for his defensive play and stuff. But what are you thinking if I set the over-under on 19.5 games of Bouchard and Nurse together before they put Bouchard back with Ekholm? Would you take the over or under on that one? What's that, like a month and a half?
No, I'd take the under. I do take the under. I think it'll sort itself out back into last year, because it worked with him and Ekholm. I don't
look at how they played down the stretch.
Yeah,
and how did they play down the stretch? Really well as a team. Bouchard and Ekholm, excellent. Nurse and a healthy CC. I mean, CC was not healthy into the playoffs last year. If you get a healthy CC back with Darnell Nurse, and then Kulak acts in the role of mentor for a rotating Broberg and Desharnais.
I don't.
Yeah, I was just going to try to side with the coach and be like, I can see why he's doing it, but really, now that I think about it, I'm not sure why he's doing it.
I think if Ekholm was healthy during this preseason, you might have seen a little bit some tinker, but I don't think he hit the ground. Like, when Ekholm comes, he'll play first game.
When Ekholm's there,
you
think Bouchard's right next to him again?
Yeah.
So they were just seeing Nurse and Bouchard in the preseason just because Ekholm wasn't around?
I think so. I mean, they might have looked at it. I'm not saying they wouldn't, but listen, they're going to start Bouchard with Ekholm at the start of the season. Crazy not to.
So somebody answer that for us. 780-218-9999, or in the YouTube chat here on 2 Guys and a Goalie today. Why do you think they're trying to make Nurse and Bouchard a thing? because I'm not sure we 100% have the answer here. We do have people in the chat asking if we can block numbers in the text program because of that Bouchard text. And I will say we do have access to block numbers. In fact, if they're listening, this is kind of behind the scenes here, but if you're listening on the live stream at edmontonsportstalk.com, we actually have the power to kick you off of it.
Ooh.
Now, there's no, we would never know that somebody was listening and doing something. We'd have to, but we can do that. We can kick you off the stream if we want. 97 Octane Hockey says they're just trying to spread the wealth. Yeah, but what wealth are you trying to spread there? I guess Bouchard making Nurse better. Is that the wealth you're trying to spread? Or the mentoring of a young defenseman with Ekholm? Like maybe they view it as Bouchard has graduated from the Ekholm program of playing defense, and now they're going to insert somebody else into that role. Maybe that's the thing that makes the most sense about it. I don't know.
I don't like it. You got to hit the ground running. That's how you know how I feel about F1, Dusty. This is an 82 lap race, all right? And in my opinion, it's at least a two-stopper, and the Oilers got to start the season on the softs. With the previous season, they're starting front row. Get on the softs, get the lead. You know, first 20 games, 20 laps, switch to the hards.
Is this a one-stop or is it a two-stop?
It's a two-stop.
It's a two-stop.
We'd go to the hards, and then probably, laps, game 65, throw the softs back on, and get ready for the playoffs. So I'm going soft, hard, soft.
Hampton Steve. I think he lives in the Hamptons. I think they're trying to make Nurse and Bouchard a thing in order to free up Ekholm to mentor Broberg in that situation. So, yeah, I could see that.
You know, it's funny when hearing my buddy Dave Cooper talk about playing on your offside and the challenges of it, and how moving the puck, you got to come across the button. But what was interesting, he was saying how you look up the ice differently coming up on your off wing, right? So there's the adjustment there, but he mentioned how it's different when you have the puck, but defending, it's almost, you can make it a little bit easier because your stick's to the inside there on the strong side. So maybe that helps a little bit, right? With Broberg playing his off wing, where I'm not saying defending's easy, but it provides a little bit more support of stopping guys cutting to the middle, keeping them to the outside. That could be. I like the sounds of that after hearing a guy that's another professional player talk about playing their off wing and being a D-man, how that works. So, and having Ekholm on the other side with Broberg, that's it could be quite formidable having those two guys in a shutdown kind of role. Or maybe but I would have liked to have seen it in the preseason.
We are less than a week away from the regular season. And I don't know if this came up on Twitter or if it's in a text or it wasn't in the chat. I'm pretty sure this hasn't really been discussed. No, here it is, actually. It's from Brent, who's an F1 guy himself, I believe. Says, do you think Ekholm plays less with CC or more? If he's healing still, is that a factor? We have not at any point discussed an Ekholm-CC pairing. No. And honestly, that might be your best bet at a true shutdown pair, now that I think about it. Like, nothing against Broberg and Desharnais, but a healthy Cody Ceci alongside of Matthias Ekholm is probably your most reliable defensive pair, right?
Yeah. And is this because of when Nurse does something that's a little bit out of those guys are they don't take chances. Like, they don't put them, they always seem to be in good. Ekholm's fantastic with his positioning and you have to do something special to gain an advantage. Yeah, that's another thing I would have mind seeing. That's a last 2 minute up a goal pairing that I think you could throw them together. Yeah. I'd like to see that too.
Surveyor Brett has texted in at 780-218-9999, and he's just screen capped the fact, because Surveyor Brett is like the historian of the Nielsen show, right? He always marks special dates. So he has sent me screen cap of his calendar on his phone that says, the first ever Bouchard trade proposal comes into the new inbox 7 days before the season starts. Preseason not even done yet. That is marked in on Thursday, October 5th, 2023.
Fantastic.
That'll be a great memory next year, Brett. So make sure you hit us up with that one.
Coming out of the rink, I think his name's Brett. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong and you're listening. But notice the hat. I was wearing the Edmonton Sports Talk
no
hat.
way.
And you know how you can feel someone kind of looking at you?
Oh, yeah.
And then he said, hey, but he was from the Boston Pizza in Beaumont, I think, that we went to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So he recognized it.
Yeah, and then he goes, yeah, I saw the hat, and I was trying to figure out who it was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's people are noticing the hats.
That's good.
There.
People will like the hats.
Yeah.
So that's nice. That's real good. Eventually, you'll be able to get your hands on one of these. We're just working and locking in the final details on that one. We'll get to more from the game in just a second. Brad the bookie text in, though, 780-218-9999. Quick question for you, Dusty. My kids are 9 and 6, and they want to start collecting hockey cards. Where should I start? Well, you've come to the right place. I would actually say, they're not a partner, but if anybody can get us in touch with Tim Hortons, I'm sure they'd like to be a partner. The Tim Hortons cards are an okay place to start if you have kids who are like 6 and 9. But I would just simply say, and what I tell everybody, I mean, there's two lower end options. There's cards called MVP, which are super cheap. You're not really going to get many hits out of that. I would just stick with Upper Deck Series 1 and specifically Upper Deck Series 2 when it comes out, because that's the Connor Bedard Young Gun card. And the hockey card industry is going to take a huge, huge boost when Bedard's Young Gun comes out in the spring or in the late winter. And I would probably target Upper Deck Series 1 and Series 2. We also had somebody in the YouTube chat I want to get to before we circle back around to the game. I'm surprised people don't know this already, but we're not shaming you by any stretch of imagination. Marty says, hey, guys, when it comes to skates and especially goalie pads, are these paid for by the team or the player?
At the pro level?
I mean, at the pro level.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah. That's the best.
Of course.
I remember my parents, that was the best time they've ever had in their life is when I went to Portland and they didn't have to pay for sticks or pads anymore. Yeah, I mean at the WHL level, covered by the team, AJHL level, probably covered by the team unless you've got if you're a goalie and you've got like a certain brand you like that maybe they don't have a deal with or something. But I would assume that's even covered for you at the AJHL level. Yeah, I
don't know. Somebody might know that at the AJ level, but anything above that for sure would be covered.
Yeah, it would all be covered.
Yeah,
even college covered, everything. Like those teams have deals with manufacturing.
Yeah, the companies want them wearing their gear because people are watching them play. Right. The same thing with our Edmonton Sports Talk hats. I mean, you think we pay for this stuff? Actually, we are paying for the merch, but actually, no, we got a nice deal with the merch with the Hive, so paying for some of the merch, but not all of the merch. But yeah, that's an interesting question. So, hey, we're happy to help you out there, Marty. Lots of talk on the blue line so far. Penner's Pancakes actually is where I wanted to go next here. So let's go.
What, Dusty?
Yeah.
Actually, I just thought of that.
What?
I had to pay for that mask out there.
You had to pay for that mask?
Well, this kind of coincides.
Hey, Maddie. Sorry, Maddie. Whoever's out there, bring us Gager's mask for a sec.
So I had a guy design a new mask my second time with the Oilers. Barry Stafford had a deal with iTech.
Okay.
And so I actually was,
iTech. Yeah. I had an iTech mask.
Yeah. So
heavy as hell.
Yeah. I think we were in, I want to say Montreal, and the iTech guy came to the hotel room and took a mold of my face.
Okay.
Like, so I'm sitting on the bed and he's basically putting a cast on my face.
For a mask like this?
For a mask. Yeah. And so then, the mask came, and it was like me trying to put like the smallest mask on my head. I couldn't.
Nice job, measurement guy.
So a few weeks later, we're in Pittsburgh, and like I mentioned before, this came for me.
Yeah.
And we're opening it up, and Staffy was like, let's just say he would squeeze the nickel till the beaver pooped, So. He was like, well, Gage, we have this deal with iTech. I don't know if we have it in the budget for this mask. And I was a little bit upset with Staffy. And I said, you know what, Staffy, don't worry about it. I got it.
You'll pay for yourself.
Yeah, I got mad at him, and so I'm paying for it.
And he never reimbursed you or anything?
I didn't want it to be a big deal, and I remember we came back
trying
home.
to fit in.
Yeah. You just didn't. I was a rookie. You don't want to rock the boat. Came home, and now Wall of Fame was going up on the 29th, I believe. Doug Waite.
Yeah.
Or 28th. Doug Waite phoned me, and he goes, "Hey, Gager, how's it going?" "Hey, Dougie, what's going on?" And he said, "Hey, quick question. Did you pay for your mask?" And I was like, "Oh no!" I was so worried because Dougie, don't worry about it. I'll pay for it. Staff, the deal with iTech, whatever. He goes, "Gager, don't worry about it." The next day, I roll into the dressing room. Staffy's standing there waiting for me. And go, "Hey, Gager, how's it going? You know what? You just bring me that invoice. We'll take care of it. Don't worry about it." So obviously,
Dougie Waite stepped up.
Dougie Waite stepped up for Gagey, and
that's
nice. The Oilers did take care of that for me.
Did they call you Gagey?
I don't know why that came up.
I was going to say, why did you just call yourself Gagey?
Yeah.
Hey, with this mask, so is this your design? Did you say you want the splash? Is that kind of what it was?
I wanted everything Cujo and maybe even the name, but I decided to go with the name too.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what you're kind of looking for? Yeah.
That was a solid
sense.
mask. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. So this one, this isn't molded, right? This is really?
Yeah. It's important here.
On the insides?
Yeah, so they take the mold of your, the temple area and just the top. That's where
just so it's not tight right there.
Yeah, that's the most important part of it. The rest they kind of do around, and then the length a little bit and stuff.
When I first got, this was a great day. I'd been wearing just my regular player's mask with the goalie gear, and then I started to get other stuff, and then I can't remember if it was for a present or if my parents just surprised me, but they had the white iTech mask, and it was the heaviest thing ever. For a young kid at the time, this thing's even heavier compared to the ones nowadays.
Oh, it's way
but the iTech one was insane. I needed 2 hands to lift this thing up onto my head.
Yeah.
But I was just looking here because on mine and the foam on the sides, because I was a huge nerd and I hated putting contacts in my eyes as a kid. I'd wear glasses while I played net, and I had to cut into the foam so my glasses could fit in. Just a real mess. A real mess. So, what's your favorite mask of all time?
Well, we had that episode.
We did a draft. We drafted masks on a long episode ago on Two Guys. But
I didn't win the draft, but I was partial to the old Murray Bannerman mask.
Murray Bannerman mask was sick.
It was awesome. Of course, Fierzy's mask was iconic. There's some real cool ones now. I think that Mike Smith's tribute to Vernon mask is out of sight. There's so
that
many.
was pretty cool.
That was really cool. Carter Hart does some cool Marvel Spider-Man, he's got Venom on his and Carnage and Spider-Man and stuff. I'm racking my brain. I just saw a guy that had some, I don't know, was there some rock stars on there too, Tragically Hip and
there was a guy who was that?
I forget who that.
He had a couple different rock stars on his.
Yeah, that's super cool when you can incorporate your a little bit more personality that they can have. I wish they could do more. I'd love to see. I have no idea why they don't have guys skates with a little
custom
extra,
skates too.
And I've said it before.
The kids would want to eat those up for sure.
When Fedorov wearing the white Nike skates.
Kovalev had the whites.
It's just so cool, And even Doug Waite. I'm talking about Dougie because he's coming up here, but going to the black blades and stuff and blue blade, just looking a little bit different, right? Just a little bit more because they can do amazing things. I think it was Brad Marchand's skates for the outdoor game was the skyline of Boston.
Yeah.
Right? Why not? Why not?
I got skates done at United. I still wear them. They're actually pretty good skates, but I got them done at United at a skate deal with the old place there. And so went down to United, got fitted for these skates. And they're like, "Do you want your name and number on them?" And I was like, "Well, this is a weird spot I'm in right now because I only play level 4 rec league, so I'm not too sure that tier 3 guys And then I was like, yes, I do. And they're like, okay, what do you want? I said, well, I want Nielsen and I want 81 on here.
Nice.
And so, yeah, on the top. But I felt like, so, you get into the room, throw it on. Oh, Nielsen 81 on the tongue. Yeah, I was like, yeah. And then you see me skating him, and you're like, what a waste. What a waste of these bloody skates, you know?
And then you go into your men's league team. What if some guy's got 81? Are you like...
Yeah, that's a good point. Is there somebody else here that's 42 years old and actually wants to wear number 81 as well? That would be
you gotta buy this guy a fake Rolex.
No, not at that point. I say, hey man, it's on my skates.
Yeah.
That's I think what you have to look at in that situation. All right, you can hit us up in the chat on YouTube, or of course you can text in 780-218-9999. We hit on the blue line coming out of that game last night. Hey, let's hit on the goalies. Campbell looked really good in his last start. I know first thing this morning, people were texting in during the Nielsen show being like, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about Skinner with those 2 goals. So, I mean, is this if you're basing it on preseason play, Campbell should probably start the first game. But where I don't think there's a lot to discuss with Campbell. He looks good so far. I'm not worried about Skinner, but what's your opinion on Skinner last night?
Not great goals.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one should have had great. It's a great shot, but that's a stoppable puck. You know what's been bugging me about Skinner a little bit, and I mean I've got the ISO cam on him a lot.
Well, that's because he loves him and he watches him all the time.
And I do like him, but I find he's a little bit deep in his net, and that the even on the second goal, which was like just a wham bam play, just the play off of the post, it was kind of nonchalant. And I mean, watching the replay of it, it wasn't usually his head's on a swivel, and he's watching what's happening out in front. And it looked like that pass caught him completely by surprise, because you can see on his push out, he was normally in that situation, he's got good balance and he's making himself big, and he was completely out of sorts. So just not he couldn't recognize where the danger was going to come, and usually he's really quite good at that. Rest of the game, not a lot of things to do, but
not a lot going on.
But there was some battling in there, so I guarantee after that first period, he was in his mind, I got to get stuff together here. So he looked like a real battler in that second period with what he was doing and challenging. So obviously trying to change his game and get things where they should be. And third period, I think there was 3 shots, so there wasn't really a lot to look at. But look, man, that's when you look at both guys at the end of the year. Campbell, you have to say Campbell's end of the year in the playoffs was better than Stuart Skinner's to the way they were playing. And I think it would be irresponsible for Woodcroft to anoint Skinner with the first game.
He did say this week that it's a true competition for the first game.
I mean,
this is why I sprinkled it at plus 180 at Coolbet.
Because Skinner had a great year, unbelievable year, but it's 1 year. I mean, if he had 5 years like that, maybe at that point you go, okay, he didn't have a great preseason, but he's been a solid NHLer for the past 5 years. What he's done, maybe he's warranted to start that first game. But this, out of what happened last year, and I think what the Oilers tandem can do as together this year, I think it's irresponsible to anoint Skinner game 1 starter. I think that first game is up for grabs, and whoever gets that game, I do believe the guy on the bench for the first game will play that second game. So right now, if I'm the coach, Jack Campbell's my game 1 starter. Stuart Skinner gets the game at home on Saturday. You're still starting first game at home. Not a big deal.
Yeah, that's an easy way to go about it. Then you still roll out Skinner at home in front of the fans, and they're both going to play in the first 2 games anyway. There's no chance.
There's enough time in between, and they're both. It's going to go one and then the other. They're battling for that first game, which I have no problem with. Right. So
yeah,
Jack Campbell, go shoot the lights out next game and get the net and run with it in Vancouver next Wednesday night.
I want to talk a little bit about goalies watching film. Did you do any of that, like when you played? Was that a thing back then already? Like, would they give you a VHS and be like, "Here's your game, take a peek"?
We didn't have so many good angles, but yeah, no, I never
You wouldn't sit down.
I wouldn't sit down and watch myself ever. It would be more on game film. I never really sat down with. In Sweden, I did watch a little bit more of my actual gameplay, but it just wasn't. It wasn't part of it at all. I knew when a goal goes in, a goalie knows what they did wrong.
You don't need to go back and watch it 9 times.
And maybe if you were, I could self-critique myself right away. Go, I shouldn't have done that. If I did this, I would have been in better.
So you're not usually left looking for answers then?
No.
Like the answer. You just screwed up the process.
Maybe one that, like a deflection. Like, how did that, what hit? Maybe a weird one I would want to see. But as for just a goal going in, I knew exactly what, if there was a possibility of me stopping it, I knew what I had to improve to
This
do
is
that.
why, I'm curious, because you mentioned, you think Skinner might just be a little deep in his net right now. I wonder in 2023, would you like to get Schwartz, or like a goalie coach of some type, just to, like, when they're watching film, are they watching themselves, or are they spending a lot of that time watching film of the upcoming opposition and their tendencies and things like that?
Yeah, I think they probably take the whole picture in. I was more just to the situational of what would happen. I guess you would look at power plays to see the tendencies of
and their systems
shooters.
and stuff, how they would.
That's another thing that Stuart Skinner has going for him this year is his familiarity with shooters around the league. Right, he's gone through.
Is that a chicken and egg thing? Is it better? Like, who's it more of an advantage of when you face them a third or fourth time, the player or the goalie? Because that goes both ways, right?
I think it's the goalie, because when a guy's shooting on you, you're basically looking from the knees down. Right, and I think I've said this before. I could tell. I wouldn't have to look above that. I knew exactly who was shooting on me just by the stick they used, the way they shot, their skates, everything. Okay, that guy likes to shoot it off the toe or whatever. He's a half slapper kind of guy, or a sweep shot that. So you start to realize that. Bill Ranford told me this way back when. He said it actually, as a goalie progresses in the NHL. It gets a little bit easier because you do start to learn tendencies,
and it just comes natural to you as opposed to having to think about it.
I mean, that's not for everyone. I mean, like guys we'll just take Bedard. His shot comes off every different part of his stick, so there's not one way that guy shoots the puck, and it comes off at different angles. So he's a different animal. Ovechkin, it's completely different with the but a lot of guys,
no amount of study can kind of get you ready for those guys.
A lot of guys, the puck comes off their stick from the same point every single time.
780-218-9999, or you can hit us up in the Maddie, did Brighton tie this thing? Is it almost out of time though? We're in a full-blown Brighton Europa League match on the Edmonton Sports side. What's it? It's over?
There should have been a penalty in that first
There
half.
should have.
It should have been 3-2 Brighton.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Lean.
On the take.
Yeah, Bright. Oh, on the take. Oh, Maddie is 3 weeks into sports betting, and he's claiming soccer's on the take. Welcome to the club, Maddie. Welcome to the club. In the nasty chat, I want to get to where is it here? Yeah, Lavoie. Lavoie, 11 goals, 10 assists, 2 scraps in 58 games. That's what Penner's pancakes say. What do you make of Raphael Lavoie? Looks like, I'd be pretty surprised if he's not on the team. What do you think of him? And are you at least tempted? We talked about this with Gazdick on our show this morning to see a McLeod, Lavoie, Holloway line.
I think that's great. He was noticeable in that second period where he was throwing the body around, and he's got some slick mitts as well. So, it was seeing him up close, Dusty. I think I'd like to see him in that role. I think that's something that he can succeed in, and it's nice to have a bit more of a physical presence that he provides. He laid the body pretty hard on a few players, and
I want to see him see what they don't have in the bottom six and be like,
yeah,
I've got everything I already do. Let me do this too.
Yeah.
And that would really make a difference for him.
And to have a threat that with that shot of his, that's intriguing to me too. A guy that can, when you have a player that can beat an NHL goalie from distance, that's scary because he's going to be hopefully he's banging around those 4 to 5 foot goals. But
yeah, but that's
also,
size for sure.
That line, you want to create havoc too, right? So turnovers in the offensive zone, quick. That's when you catch goalies off guard, and possessing a shot and to be able to release it that quickly and have that tenacious forward check. Who knows? Maybe he does reach. What's the over-under with his goal?
It's not up yet.
Okay.
But cool bet. I'm going to have to put it out. A Raphael Lavoie line heading into the weekend.
Have to.
Would probably do pretty well. I don't know if Pat or Jake from Cool Bet are still watching. But if you are, in the YouTube chat, boys, Raphael Lavoie goal totals. And if you're listening right now, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, or in the chat, what should they set that number at? I'd probably set it at 9.5. A rookie getting bottom 6 time. Man, I wouldn't expect him to score. Like if he scores 13 or 14 goals this year, that's awesome.
Yeah.
There's no power play time coming. You're going to be stuck on the bench late in games when they're trying to hold a lead because it's going to be the top 6 going out. And then if he is on the line with McLeod and Lavoie, I could see it more so being a Janmark, Ryan Fogle line that gets those minutes in the second half of a 1-goal game in the third period, right? Or they put McLeod out there with Fogle and Ryan or something along those lines. So I think the ice time will probably be limited. So I would probably set the number somewhere between 9.5 and 11.5.
Well, plus I think you got to look at just last year. I mean, I'm not totally 100% sure, but I think the Oilers were second only to the Kraken with players in double-digit goal totals. So if that trend...
Yeah, the Kraken had a bunch of them.
Yeah, a ton.
I saw that earlier this year, too.
Crazy.
They had like 14 guys score
I
double-digit goals or
the
something.
Oilers had 12, I think.
Yeah.
So...
But a few of those guys aren't around anymore, which means there's more opportunity for some of these other guys.
So, and with that kind of skill level where he can score, I think I.
Do you think can you play McLeod, Holloway, and Lavoie together? Sean is asking in the chat right now, because would other teams target them like on the road? Last change, Vancouver's throwing out the Elias Pettersson line against McLeod, Holloway, and Lavoie. I mean, that's going to happen no matter who you are. I mean, teams are going to target bottom 6 lines, but that's a pretty inexperienced, as sexy as it is for Oilers fans to think about kid line 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever kid line would be on right now. I could see it from a coaching perspective being like, you want to mix in Lavoie with Ryan and Fogle, or and mix it up a little bit.
I mean, if they could, and if the coaching staff had the trust to be able to do that, that only helps the Oilers. But yeah, of course you'd be crazy as an opponent not to see if you could take advantage of a kid line and abuse them with offensive zone faceoffs. But yeah, that's a no-brainer. But it would be great if that was a reliable defensive zone draw line that the Oilers could count on, and that young exuberance, I guess, so that can. Look, I think Gazek, I heard earlier, like you look at Stanley Cup champions, you need those fourth.
You do.
You do need 4 lines.
You can't just all of a sudden hide somebody in the playoffs.
Because the first, if you just go 3, by the time you get to the end, they're dead. You have to distribute
that line at Vegas against Edmonton last year. There was nothing you looked at. And look, you always have an advantage when you have McDavid and Draisaitl. I get it, you're gonna have a better line on the ice. But there was no moment when you're like, you know what? They need to start taking advantage of that line on the Golden Knights. Like, that wasn't a thing.
And when that line scores against the top line, that's just a huge body blow too, right? Like when that Kolesar
it's a
line,
major,
it's just like, you can't let that line score against you. You have to abuse them. Hopefully they can hold their own. But if they're scoring, that's you're not going to win that series.
Are you more confident in Holloway heading into the season this year than last year after like a lights-out preseason last year and a really good preseason again this year?
Hey, I mean, he's having another great preseason, which is good because I think he knows he's on the team, and he's still. That's
a different attitude.
It's a different mindset coming into camp, trying to make the team. Aside from being a regular on the team, and that's really encouraging. And I've heard people talk about how usually his second year is when he starts really figuring things out. So I'm interested to see if he can translate his preseason into the regular season, because that didn't happen last year. It was one mistake that first game, and it never really got back.
It sounds so ridiculous that one mistake can make that big a difference, but at that moment in that game, and then, instantly the confidence your coach has in you, no matter what he says. You've just been in that situation in life a number of times. But, we still believe. But deep down inside, you're like a little worried about this kid.
And also, I think what helps him this year is the fact that he's not – the top six is not a possible. Like, he's somewhere else in case of injury, right? So that's he's got to find a way to make – what type of game is going to make him the most successful to stay in the lineup and be a contributing part of the Edmonton Oilers. And I think that's got to be his mindset going into this year. And I like his game. I think his game looks like that kind of third line bang with some offensive flair. I remember that game against the Rangers in New York last year, where he really looked like a solid NHLer and scoring a big goal. You could see flashes of what type of player he could actually become.
Can't read into it too much from last night because it was a garbage lineup. But does Calgary factor into this division this year, do you think?
Well, yeah. I look at how many players were out, and they looked pretty good at the game in Calgary with a fuller lineup. You got to expect that Huberdeau is going to be better. The D core, looking on paper, it's a very solid defensive core. Mackenzie Weegar, if you'd watched the World Championships, he was arguably the best player at World Championships last year. He's a whale of a player. Markstrom, not a terrible season, but just so many one-goal game losses, shootout
You almost
losses.
feel like it kind of those goals. I don't want to say hockey's a game of bounces, but in those tight games, you get a few bounces the other way the next year. Like
he's got to find a way to shut the other teams down in the shootout if it gets to that point again. And guys got to score too. But
I'm interested to see what the Huberdeaus and the Kadris do with Sutter not around anymore.
Yeah,
right. Like
exactly.
That. Like I don't think, and I'm sure in Calgary they're talking about it enough, but I know here in Edmonton, personally, on Edmonton Sports Talk and probably around the city and outside of Calgary in Western Canada, I don't know if people are talking enough about Sutter being gone and some of the that should be a relief for every player in that room. And when that happens, I think there's a chance there for a really nice bounce back. Maybe I end up being wrong, but that roster is a playoff caliber roster in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. And to have that, like you mentioned, the breath of fresh air for the new coach, like it's going to be a completely different locker room. And I think now especially with those guys, they're going to have a coach that's going to treat them a little bit differently. And as a hockey player, you want to be relied upon. And I think that sometimes gets lost with how Sutter implements his lineup.
We don't have to wrap up just yet, but let's transition over to big plans for the weekend. Like, what do you got going on this weekend? Long weekend?
Yeah, no, just probably a little turkey.
You are going to do the turkey.
Well, I'm not. My mother-in-law, I think she bought like a 78-pound turkey.
A 78-pound turkey.
We'll try to get down on that on
Getting
Sunday.
delivered in a small Ford Ranger.
I guess I'm going to do the pregame with Tommy.
Oh, okay, nice.
And
are you doing it from his house?
Yeah, I guess I got to go to.
You got to go to Tommy Gazzola's love mansion.
Yeah, I hear it smells of rich mahogany.
He didn't smell great today. You should have smelled him yesterday.
Yeah, that's
holy smokes.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a bachelor pad in a long time.
No.
That's
his bachelor pad would not be equivalent to my old bachelor pads.
Yeah.
His bachelor pad was like set up by his mom.
Oh.
Like she tells him where to put things and
Awesome.
and what to do. So it should be. It's not very bachelor pad-ish.
I love it. We were just sitting out there and his phone rang and he's like, "Oh, my mom." And he had to. Yeah, like I was talking to him. He just, oh, my mom, and he ran into the other room to talk to his mom. Such a sweet boy.
He is a sweet little boy, isn't he? That should be a pretty good time. So yeah, we'll have the pregame show on Friday, and then starting next week, pregame and postgame every single game all season long, right here at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Cass will be involved in that. Gage is going to be doing some of those games as well. Sean Bell will probably mix in Belsey a little bit. I don't know if the boys talked to you about this thing. We were thinking about this because you're coming in on a lot of Thursdays for the hangout. We're. I just got to throw this by you right now, right here on Two Guys in the Goalie.
Jeez, put me on the spot.
What are your thoughts on becoming? If you were to come in just a little bit early on Thursdays and you become the third wheel of Scalding Hot Takes. It's a lot to think about.
Yeah,
It's a lot to think about.
I'm driving my daughter.
Exactly. I was worried about that.
My wife, I guess, to school. And so I'll have to get the routine.
Take a look at the scheduling.
Okay.
And let us know, because if you could be in by, now that we don't have any spots or anything.
Yeah.
If you could be in by like 8:40, we could still bang out hot takes.
Okay. All right.
So that'd be close.
Yeah, you got to give the people what they want.
Right? I think you could bring some pretty good takes. So that's something we're considering, because Scalding Hot Takes is certainly coming back. We're like, well, what do we do here? Like, how do we rotate in a third person? I was like, well, Gage comes in on Thursdays anyway, like 9 o'clock. So maybe work it out a little bit.
I like Hernan.
Hernan was never. God love Hernan.
I love this.
I love the guy.
He would just read them so defeated.
Yeah, and he wouldn't even come up with it. He'd come in and sit down and he goes, oh, man, I hate doing hot takes. I was just like, do you realize how many people would kill to sit in that chair right now in Ansel? Like,
the times that I did do it, my phone would blow up.
Yeah.
Gager, say this.
Do this.
Do this. You'll win.
Say this.
You'll win.
I think that's good. I think that's pretty good. So anyway, it's in the cards. We'll see what ends up happening on that front. Okay, that is going to do it for this episode of Two Guys and a Goalie. Hey, I went to try to find Loki last night. I thought it was being launched last night. When does Loki come out?
Tomorrow or today.
It's today?
Yeah, it's Thursday.
Man, because I went last night. What time was it? I don't know. It was like 9, 10 o'clock. I thought maybe it would have kicked in. Let me see here. I'm really excited to watch. Mind you, Ahsoka is really good.
Yeah,
you do have to get in. Like,
I'm almost done.
Are you almost done now?
Yeah,
you might be caught to me. I'm only going into episode 6.
Yeah, I'm before the you guys say 5. I'm halfway through 4. Fell asleep.
Oh, so you haven't seen what's his name yet?
Yeah.
Loki season 2 premiering today.
Okay.
So we'll have to get into that, dive into it at some point.
I might have to watch the last 2 of the old season.
Yeah, I was going to do that last night as well, and then I fell asleep.
Yeah.
So that didn't work out too well. All right, that's going to do it for another day of content here at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Nielsen Show replay coming up here at 1 o'clock. Lock Shop to follow that to get you ready for the Thursday Nighter. And, hey, last minute notice, if you do want to join us tonight, we'll be at the Century Casino on Fort Road for the Thursday Nighter, a big sports bar and lounge in the back there. You can come and join us. That'll be a really good time tonight. We're going to give away a spot on the Hangout for Cass, who wasn't able to join us today. He was on a flight out to Toronto to fire the analytics department of the Toronto Blue Jays. I think this episode gets called Awkward, right? Is that like,
that's
considering your situation from earlier, I like the idea of Two Guys and a Goalie. Awkward. And we'll be back on Tuesday with another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie as well, live right here at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Nielsen Show tomorrow, beer of the week, and a lot of other fun stuff coming on, so we'll talk to you then.